today's July 25th, 2024 Green Valley Special Utility District meeting to order. Agenda item A, establish quorum, call to order. B, invocation and pledge of allegiance. Quorum. We have all board members present and accounted for. If everybody can rise for invocation and pledge. Dear Heavenly Father, we ask your blessings over Green Valley. Keep them coming because we so much deserve them and appreciate everything you've done for us so far this year alone. Please give the board and staff the knowledge and the wisdom to take this company into the great future. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, public comment. Believe we had one. Mr. Hutchinson, is he here? No, not here. Okay, and I believe everybody else signed in, but anybody want to have a public comment moment? Okay, I understand that sheet back there can look like a sign-in sheet, but that's really the public comment sheet, so just double checking. All right, moving on to the consent agenda. All items listed below are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the board and will be approved by one motion. There will be no discussion of these items unless a board member so requests, in which case the item will be removed from consent agenda and will be considered an action taken as necessary as part of the order of business, 1 through number 5. Does anybody have any comments, questions?
May I?
Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve consent agenda items D1 through 5. I do want to have one note, continue to congratulate staff for the cost savings that I'm seeing on the balance sheets. I'm going to make that comment every month. I don't know when I'll stop doing that, but I'm happy to see how the balance sheets are looking.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mr. Sherman and a second by Mr. King. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. All ayes. Okay, item E, hear updates on the following items from GVSUD General Manager, staff, and committee chairs and take action as necessary. E1, employee recognition. Mr. Gage.
Good morning, Board of Directors, and good morning to those out watching on YouTube. So I got the great pleasure this morning to do something I really love to do, and that's brag on some of our employees and some of our staff here at Green Valley. And I'll do that first. That's the first agenda item. So I just want to read the board just a few things from Google reviews. So right now, if you don't know, we have a 4.5 star rating on Google review. Some of the comments from customers are kind of indicative of the service that they're getting out of our customer service and billing department. One of these, Jeanette was very helpful, friendly, easy to deal with. The kind of customer service is getting harder to find. Thank you very much. I'm new to Texas, recently purchased a home in Cibolo. I found the process of setting up utilities a little more challenging than expected, but thankfully the customer service staff at Green Valley SUD was there to assist. I want to especially thank Gina for helping me understand the process, explaining water restrictions, and following up with emails and phone calls. Thank you, GVSUD, for your excellent customer service. And finally, I'll be moving to New Braunfels, and staff at GVSUD was so helpful and quick to get my services started. They gave me instructions on how my payments and navigate the portal. Super friendly staff. So this morning, what I wanted to do is just recognize two of those, and please come up, Kayla and Gina. So Kayla and Gina specifically, just in this last month, customers actually took the extra time to come out or to comment and send emails, particularly about these two women. And Gina herself, she actually received flowers from one of her customers, who's an elderly gentleman that she's been working with for some time to take care of him. And Kayla here, the same thing. We got a nice note from Kayla, a new person entering into our community. Was really thankful for what Kayla did to assist them. So for both of you ladies, I mean, you are terrific, and it's really y'all are just representative of the entire customer service team. I couldn't bring them all in here because they're serving customers this morning. So anyway, so Kayla and Gina, we really appreciate what you do every day for Green Valley, and just making it a great place to work and doing what we're supposed to do is take care of our customers. So thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And thank y'all for everything y'all do. We truly hear it from the public as well. All right, going to E2, Business and Operations General Manager updates. Mr. Gage.
Okay, good morning, board again. So what I tried to do with the operations update this month was try to streamline it a little bit more and make it easier to understand. In terms of the overall updates, I only have 2 items there for you this morning. The first one is on staffing levels. We're currently at 51 employees at this time. We did hire 2 new utility technicians, and we did have 1 departing employee. And that was Mr. Philip DeFrancesco, our Assistant General Manager. And just while I have the mic, I think on the board's behalf and on Green Valley's behalf, I'd like to thank him for his service for Green Valley over the years. He did a great job for us. Was here 3 years and supported Green Valley in all his efforts. Moving forward, I got a good bright piece of news. I was able to get some talent to come in and is going to take over as our warehouse fleet manager and facilities manager. His name is David Duff, and he'll be starting on Monday. And that'll help fill a gap that we've had in our staff, and that'll be a great addition to the team. And once again, he starts on Monday, so we'll be back up to 51 is where we are for that. Pending any questions on that, I'll briefly go into the SWBC update. For this one, again, I'd like to thank the board members for their action and allowing me to hire SWBC, Southwest Business Corporation. That's what it stands for. But they're a professional employment organization to come over and take over HR and our payroll processes. We're well on the way with them. So right now, we're scheduled to begin our first payroll run on the new system, which will be a digital system. Folks can clock in and clock out using cell phones is a way to do it. We can also be digitized on that a lot better in terms of accountability for supervisors and managers. That begins 28th of August to start the first pay period. Next week, we'll start doing our open enrollment for our benefits, insurance. The employees start doing that next week on Monday. And we'll have a couple of sessions for them, as well as some other training on how to interact with the digital programs in the month of August. I won't go into the handbook now, but we have a later agenda item where I'm going to ask the board to approve our new employee handbook, which will set us up for success with SWBC and the PEO there. That's all I had for general manager updates. Moving through the operations reports, like I said, for this one, we did break it out a little better. I would like to highlight that we're up to 18,018 meters in the ground today. Not all accounts are quite active yet, but they've been in place. So this is as, those accounts come online, we do have those meters in place. So that's our new number for everyone to kind of know. Then that is equaling kind of our 5.5% growth rate that we projected. Right now, where our 12-month running average is 5.83. So that's where we are on our growth rate in terms of water meters in the ground. The rest of the operation report is there. If you have any questions, I would like to highlight at the end of the operations report, we do have the vehicle listing down there for our fleet. I will tell you that all of our GPS systems are installed on both our rolling stock and our other pieces of equipment. So trailers, excavators, lawnmowers, they all have the equipment installed on it now. When we get Mr. Duff on board as the fleet manager, he's going to take us into the future with the digital tracking tools in terms of fuel and maintenance and all that. So that's going to be his job to do. But I did include the vehicle report. I think we missed it last month, but you do have it for your review this month. And pending any questions from the board, that's what I have for operations.
Just a comment real quick, and this may be well ahead of the game. Are we looking at terming out any vehicles in the upcoming year?
So in terms of surplus in vehicles?
Right.
Yes, sir. We do have 3 that's identified as surplus.
Okay.
And then we'll be getting into that. I'd ask for the board's patience. I'd like to get my fleet manager on board.
Sure.
So we can assess all of that, but we do have 3 identified right now. It's
Okay.
on the last 3 on the ops report.
Yeah, I thought so. And looking at that, I went, yeah, there's some of those are headed that way. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So on the 3 that are identified, they're identified as declared surplus. So has the board already declared those surplus?
No, sir, they have not.
Okay.
They're identified by the staff as surplus, so probably declare is not the right word there, but they're identified as surplus.
Okay, yeah, there's a process that we have
Yes,
to
sir.
follow to legally dispose of them, so
Yes, sir.
we're on board with that. And then on the operations report, is a little bit of a new format, like you said. Am I missing the 3-month running wastewater average of flow, or is that something I'm gonna ask that you add um, back to this report? I didn't see it, but with the new format, it might have got dropped off, but that is something that I like to see.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Comments, questions? Everybody's good? Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Gage. All right, going to E3, CRWA Board of Trustees post-meeting updates, Mr. Cooper and Mr. Sherman.
So we got an email from Mr. Telfer at CRWA that the stage 4 is coming. 90-day notice. He's given us an email. I'm sure he sent it to all of the member management as well with some guidance. It's a 15% curtailment request. So given some steps that they're going to take. With all this rain, the rain has hit us in a good location. So there's a slug of water coming down the river. I've asked Mr. Telfer to give me an update once that slug of water reaches the lake on an adjustment to the lake level. So.
Okay.
Anything else?
Today's lake level at Canyon Lake was, today's lake level at Canyon Lake was 885.3. And stage 4 is triggered at 885 for what, 30-day period? Is that correct? So I don't know where we're at in that average, but hopefully the rain will bring it up above the 885 and we'll be able to stay out of stage 4. Was a minor issue with a chlorine leak at Wells Ranch Water Treatment Plant. Well, there were 2 events. A raccoon got into the electronics and took care of some wiring, and then they had a minor chlorine leak. And when I say minor, they said it was about enough to fill a thimble, but it was still a chlorine, which is a hazardous material leak, and they feel confident they've got it under control. The policy committee was suspended because it is no longer needed. All of the policies at CRWA have been updated and are in place. So Ted Gibbs' committee they did not disband, they just suspended them for now. And the wheeling agreement with Maxwell was approved unanimously. That was a huge win to be able to get that. That was all I had.
Awesome. Thank y'all very much for that update. Yes, sir.
So one comment on the stage 4. So we did get the notice. We got it from GBRA, and in that, it's a 90-day notice to stage 4. So they are asking for their curtailment plan, like Mr. Sherman mentioned. We have until the 19th of July to update our contingency plans and get that uploaded to GBRA's website. We're in the process of doing that. I think we'll have it closed out easily by next week. And it's just taking a look. We already had the contingency plan. We're just making sure that everything is straight with it, and that way we can turn it in and comply with that notice.
Cool.
It's, I'm sorry, August. It's 30 days from 19 July is what I meant to say. Sorry for misspeaking there.
You're good. All right, moving on to E4, CRWA Board of Managers post-meeting updates. Is it Mr. Sherman
So we haven't
or
had another Board of
So
Management
it-
meeting since.
nothing in
our
July?
Previous special meeting.
Okay.
And then this is going to be handed off to our new GM. So I don't know whether this will just get rolled under your report or we just have a special item here. I'll let y'all figure that out.
Yes, sir. I would recommend we keep it as a separate agenda item. I did speak with or corresponded with the general manager over at CRWA. And so the next board meeting, they'll swear me onto the board of managers. They have the proclamation or the resolution rather that you did last board meeting. So we're all set. It's just a matter of the next schedule.
All righty, thank you for that update. Going- Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Back up just a second. I want to
To-
acknowledge Mr. Gage. One of the
Get through.
things that he did put in his letter, and I wanted to call out, is he is working with Regina Frankie,
Hmm.
General Manager at East Central. No, County.
Crystal clear.
Crystal clear.
Crystal clear.
I'd get it if I kept naming off entities. But one of the things that Mr. Gage and I talked about was the importance of a reference, a mentor, somebody that he could call and gain insights to. And Mr. Gage took it upon himself to reach out to Regina, and his first experience was understanding how verbose she can be. But somewhere in all of that conversation, there are gems of information. So I wanted to commend Mr. Gage on making an effort to find somebody to use as a reference. So thank you.
I'm gonna have to add on top of that too, because Regina's not the only one. I mean, he's been going crazy with GBRA and all the other neighboring communities. I mean, I have to give you kudos. Within a 1 month time span, I mean, you've done a lot. So, hey, good job. Keep it going. All right, so moving to E5, ARWA Board of Directors post-meeting updates. Mr. Sherman.
Yes, and David, there was a presentation that I forwarded you regarding the delivery of water. So I'll get to that in just a second, but the highlights of the meeting were the water treatment plant has a substantial completion of today listed in the documents. It's not going to be today. I
Okay.
asked that question. They said a few more weeks, but it was listed for today. That's the report I've been given the board for the past several months. The last segment of pipe that goes under the river and delivers to the Lake Dunlap plant is referred to as segment E2.
Mhm.
It's listed at 92% complete. Or it will be complete within 4 weeks. But that's what I was given. We also had two big dollar items that we discussed. I've reported to the board before, there's an expansion of the water treatment plant that was approved in the past, and we've worked out engineering agreements with Kimley Horn for the plant itself, which is split 50-50. Total dollar amount of the construction design, everything on that portion is $42 million, which will be split 50-50 with GBRA taking half, and then the ARWA members taking half. There's a separate agenda item where everything else that's required to get more water, the well fields, the booster pump station upgrade, more high service pumps, that sort of thing, that's all ARWA funded. And so that was a separate agenda item. That is a total of $55 million. Okay, so that's a lot of money. Overall, it was just shy of $100 million for this program expansion. Green Valley's portion is $14,670,000. So it's a big dollar amount, but this is something we've discussed before. We've just taken some action on it. There was another item, salaries across the board for the limited staff members at ARWA received a 5% salary adjustment, and there was an adjustment to the retirement plan through TCDRS, which I'm not a huge fan of, but we increased the company match. And then I'm going to talk to Shan if I'm able to. I want to talk more about this in executive session, but if I'm not able to, I won't. So I'll get with Shan here if I'm available and see if we can talk about one item in executive.
Just a question, and I know I keep coming back to this. And you said substantial completion to CRWA. Are they talking about when they can actually start providing water to CRWA?
So David, will you pull up the presentation and scroll through? There's a couple items I wanted to point out, the kind of, okay, here.
Yeah.
So the plant is shown off to the right, the well field's off to the right.
Yeah.
There's a segment of pipe that heads west. It continues west. There's a delivery point to one of the customers. Where that branch is the location of the ground storage tank and booster pump station. Everything on the horizontal pipeline segment and down, that's an elevated storage tank down at the bottom. It's kind of listed in blue. All of that is tested and live. So below that south elevated storage tank is segment E. Segment E is broken up into two portions. E1, which goes to the river, and then E2 is across the river and then to the delivery. Active they're talking about granting substantial completion. So really that last little leg, where the bottom, very bottom of the run, that's all that's left. So everything else is live and active. The plant produced water, it's done its process.
Right.
There was a 40-hour, 42-hour nonstop production that the contractor correctly demonstrated, and then they created some punch list items that have to be corrected. The biggest problem there, David, if you'll scroll, that's showing everything is filled and done. Keep going, please. Thank you. So these are the connection schedules. Like I said, we're the last just because we're at the end of it. There is a fiber line, a hard fiber line from the treatment plant through Lockhart over to the booster pump station. That is in place and active. The pink triangles are cellular gateways. That's how we communicate from the booster pump station to the delivery points. Those are not active yet. They're having some trouble with the selected vendor being able to get all those active. That's one of the critical path items. David, keep scrolling, please. So here's the critical path items. The 4 wells that were drilled as part of this overall program, the ARWA wells, only one of them is operational. The other 3 have electrical gremlins that they're not able to work out yet. We got to get those fixed before they can call everything substantial. GBRA's has some wells that are also tied into the plant. All of theirs are working. We did ask the question, if ARWA's wells are not operational and GBRA's are, can we overpump GBRA's wells to make up the difference? And we were told yes at yesterday's meeting. I don't know, staff or somebody else might know better, but that's what we were told. And if you'll keep going, David, keep going. This is just some aerial pictures. So this is the chemical items, lime, all that's operational. The mixers are operational. Keep going, please. The filters are operational. There's 6 filters. They took parts off of 1 filter, number 4, when things didn't work right on the rest of them. So they got the rest of the 5 filters working, and now they've ordered the parts to fix number 4, just to put the pieces back that they robbed. So that was highlighted here. Keep going, please, David. Solids handling. So we have a plate press, and there's only one of, which I don't understand how there can only be one with no redundancy, but we have that there. They were exercising everything, and they had a problem with a 400 amp breaker, which is not readily available. So it's inoperable right now. This is one of the critical path items. They've got a plan to get a temporary breaker installed while the 400 amp breaker is ordered. But this is one of the critical path items, this plate settler. David, continue, please. So again, yeah, the cellular gateways, the filter that we have to get those parts on, and then the wells are the 3 critical path items to get the plant itself to substantial.
Those cellular gateways there, are they essentially part of the infrastructure to control the SCADA that controls the system?
Correct. It's how the staff at the booster pump station will see what's happening at the delivery points. There was discussion about, in the interim, coordinating with staff locally, the individual member entities locally, and maybe delivering water just during the day until they can get those gateways operational with, here I call Bob over at Lake Dunlap and say, Bob, you tell me when to turn it off, and then I'll turn it off. All of that should work automatically through those cellular gateways, and they're having a little bit of, and part of the challenge with those is the hardening from external actors, so that it's not,
Very much.
well, it is a target, but it's
Yes.
protected. So that is part of the challenges working around the built-in protections. So we did discuss that. I won't talk anymore about that, but that is
We should.
very much being considered. David, keep going, see what else we got here. That's what I was referencing, maybe send water during normal working days. The bottom bullet point was a little worrisome, unable to give a definitive delivery schedule. They're unable to give a definitive delivery schedule. Graham Moore has he's learned me pretty well that I'm going to ask certain questions, and I credit him that he gets ahead of the questions and has the answers already posted for me, so I don't even have to ask him. But can't give us a definitive timeline, but verbally they said maybe another 4 weeks. So, and see what else there is, David. I think we might be it. Yeah, that's all. So, thank you for throwing that up, David. This was just yesterday I got this, so I wanted to make sure the rest of the board was able to see that. So, and that is all the notes one more note. The funding for those 2 big ticket items that I discussed earlier, the SWIFT funding went through the Water Development Board application. They had a meeting this week. The Water Development Board was happy to loan a bunch of money and get some interest on it. So that includes the $42 million and the $55 million and that bond anticipation loan that the board is aware of that I was not in favor of. So the cost of that bond anticipation loan is going to be rolled into the SWIFT funding. And again, Green Valley's commitment to those 2 components is just shy of $15 million. We can roll that into our water acquisition fee, and everyone's aware of it. That's how we'll recoup that money.
Thank you for that detailed presentation.
It was a very
that's
detailed meeting. A lot of,
I'm glad we got that information because now it makes us more informed. Thank you. Moving on to E6, Board Directors Committee meeting updates, Investment Committee, Mr. King.
Yeah, the committee met on July the 16th. Focus remains making sure we're taking advantage of interest rates, and we feel like we're doing that. But the minutes are in your packet, and I don't have anything else to add.
Do we have any comments, concerns? No? Good.
I just want to say thank you, Mr. King. Your work has been unbelievably productive and continues to get this organization in the right direction. And thank you for your efforts, man.
The
Appreciate
committee,
it.
but you're welcome.
Okay, that's all for staff updates, chair updates. Going to item F. So present checks to Guadalupe County Youth Show and Comal County Youth Shows. Ashlyn, can you come here real quick? Thank you. So a part of our public relations, giving back to the community and doing everything that we can to be good stewards to our organization and the community. We created the Public Relations Committee about 2 years ago, and we're trying to make the efforts on, giving back to kids in some way, shape, or form. And, one big thing that consumes a lot of water is animals and kids. So, the livestock shows, have a lot of sponsors, and we felt that we need to be a part of it as well to show the community that we do support our youth and in their education. So first and foremost, we'd like to start with Guadalupe County Youth Show. We have Mr. Dustin as a representative. He is the president for Guadalupe County Youth Livestock Show, which normally is held in February and January, correct? So 3rd week of January. So, your efforts have grown that organization tremendously from what it used to be a few years ago to what it is now. And can you give us a little bit of, how much or how many kids participate?
Is that better? All right, yeah, so I've now been with the organization for about 7 years as chairman, and we have grown significantly. I can tell you from support from organizations like yourselves. Each year we sell about 400 lots in our live auction. We have about 700 youth in the county that participate in our show. And this money is huge for these kids to be able to have more projects the following year or to put towards their college education. It's something that we have really been pushing forward to grow. And we have this past year, we set a record in our auction where we actually broke $1.8 million that we raised for the youth of Guadalupe County. on just about 414 lots that we sold last year for the kids. So, from that, these kids are gaining valuable experiences and learnings about responsibility and accountability. Gives them a great opportunity to have some leadership opportunities, getting involved with our organization, volunteering and whatnot, besides just showing the animals. And so, we've grown tremendously. We just broke 1 million in our auction about 5 years ago. So in 5 years, we've grown it from just barely breaking 1 million to where we almost were at 1.9 this past year. So our goal this year is to exceed the 2 million mark. We have a tremendous amount of volunteers, hundreds of them that put this on, and with none of no paid positions. So it's truly a miracle to me how many great people we have in our community that help volunteer free time. And it's throughout the years, obviously a little busier as we get closer to the show, but it's a year-round deal for everybody to be involved. And just want to thank you guys for y'all's support. We could not do it without organizations like yourself.
Appreciate it. Thank you for everything y'all are doing. And with that, to make this official, do I have a motion for the Guadalupe County Youth Show? Check. Yep. Guadalupe, sir. Mike. And we're on Guadalupe right now.
Guadalupe. I'm sorry. Did we maintain our Guadalupe Youth Show donation at $2,500?
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Cooper.
Second.
I have a second by Mr. King. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll present the checks. If the board would like to come to the front so we can present it to him officially.
Part of her rehab. She's got to take steps.
All right, so the next one that we have is Comal County Youth Show. And we have Miss Jill Bennett to represent the youth show. Ms. Bennett, would you like to come up and talk about your organization?
First, I need to clarify, is it fair or youth show? I'm a member of both. And so that says fair and this says youth show. So who am I talking about? I'm assuming it's fair because that's where you donated it last year. Is
That's
that
what we're
correct?
trying to do. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm currently a director on the Comal County Fair Association, served as past president last year. That was an undertaking. It was a lot of fun, but it was also a lot of work. You don't really realize how much it takes until you get in the big thick of it. So currently I am livestock superintendent, and that covers the baby chicks, which is where more than likely this will probably be directed into the baby chick, the kids zone, the livestock piece as well, the shows. So it does take care of kids. We have thousands and thousands of children that go through that area, not only as exhibitors, but as little ones learning about livestock. And our mission is to promote the historical and agricultural background of our community. So, that is a packed in area back there, and they love that area over there. Of course, we're working hard in the ring, providing some entertainment for them as well, for the cattle and the lambs and the goats. But that's a whole different kind of little animal in there, but it's a lot of fun. It's a way that I can still mentor students, being a former teacher, and plan on doing it for a while. We also, to kind of copy what our previous gentleman said, it is a year-long commitment. We meet monthly, and sometimes special called meetings and that kind of thing. So it is a year-long event to pull off our Comal County Fair. It takes us approximately $75,000 to start up the fair. So this is a big help in going towards that piece of our Fair Association. So I thank you on behalf of the Fair Association and look forward to many more workings with you guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And we'll get that updated to reflect fair.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's fair on
Yeah.
there. It was just in the
Okay.
minutes
Oh, okay.
as the youth. So
Okay,
that's why I was a little bit confused.
got it. So on the check, does it need to show fair or you show?
Fair.
Okay, so
Yes.
Ashlyn, could you just? Oh, sorry. All right. Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Cooper.
Just need to know where it was going.
No, you're good.
Now's the time.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to recommend that we increase the Comal County Fair amount from $1,500 to $2,500.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Cooper, second by Mr. King. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much, and let's present it.
Thank you again for that.
Okay, at this time, I'm gonna back up real quick. We had someone arrive a little bit later after public comments, who emailed, saying that he wanted to have a moment to speak to the board. So I'm gonna go back to, agenda item C, public comment. GVHD welcomes public participation. If you're unable to attend the meeting, a written comment with your name and a topic of the agenda items that you wish to address can be emailed or delivered to GVSUD location at 605 FM 465, Marion, Texas 78124. Attention, Ashlyn Ford, Public Information Officer, aford@gvsud.org. Written comments must be submitted and received no later than 3 p.m. on June 26, 2024. Please remember the public comment is limited to 3 minutes per person. Time may not be shared or seated. So we have Mr. Arthur, sorry, Rockowitz, is that correct? Yeah. Good morning, sir. Is the green button on?
Mr. President, and thank you to the,
Yeah, it's on.
Okay, it's good. Awesome. Thank you, sir.
thank you, Mr. President, and to the members of the Green Valley Utility Company. I would like to make a request for speaking about fiber optics at the next agenda meeting. A little bit about my experience. Back in 1979, I became an intern with Data Point Corporation, manufacturing of computers in San Antonio. And we employed for testing and repairing of circuit boards. Upon completion of my engineering technology degree at San Antonio College, 6 students were selected and hired for working with Data Point full-time. Working close with my colleagues in the engineering department, as a technician, testing how computers were affected with frequencies, and electrostatic discharges. I maintained and sustained computer hardware and peripherals later on in working while at Data Point, in cabling and networking and switching throughout South Texas for Data Point. Also, my occupation with the military for specialized repair of electronic equipment, computer hardware, networking, and switching systems. The reason I am bringing this up to you, I had an injury several years ago, and due to the impact of the injury, I was unable to speak. And the passion that I have is mostly towards farming and the essence of water due to my progression in the military. And I can't divulge the reason with the military. But in this world that is often desperately and hopelessly searching of the transcendent in all the wrong places that affect our daily lives and environment. Therefore, our performance is rootedness more so by greed. Technology is advancing too quickly, causing more harm than goodness. My presentation request is through this presentation shall examine how fiber optics versus Wi-Fi in today's societal times, a little bit about the background of fiber optics, the Wi-Fi and fiber optic cabling, the internet, the applications, some of the key players, the governing standards, and most important, the environmental impactation. I understand and heard briefly from the members how this Green Valley has incorporated fiber, and they also have cell. Let me give you a little bit, and I'll be as brief as I can. Henry Ford had a great idea with technology, and that was the automobile. And just giving an example, you had Bexar County Courthouse downtown and the windows were open in those courthouses until the automobiles started coming down the street, and the secretaries and those employees had to put the windows down because of the gas fumes. You couldn't see the gas fumes, but you could smell it. But you also can't see the frequencies. And Marion is dislocated from San Antonio. And because of that, it's important. I'll explain further how fiber optics can benefit not only the water company, but the water sewage. Thank you for your time.
I appreciate it. We'll get back with you on that. So. All right, thank you. So we're moving to item G, GVCD Capital Improvement Projects and Development Project Report. Mr. Cantu.
Good morning, board and all here in attendance. I'm gonna go over the development and CIP status update here. As Mr. Gage mentioned earlier, we're at 5.83% current running 12-month average. Just some stats here I'll quickly mention. I won't go over every little thing because there's a lot in this report. 83 new meters per month, 500 new meters installed to date. 900 new service meters to be installed is what we're projecting for calendar year 2024. 38% of these new accounts include Green Valley wastewater service, predominantly in the Santa Clara wastewater sewer shed. So 38% of that number being 500. I mentioned there is a spike for larger sized water service meters from 2-inch to 8-inch, which is why in some of the reporting, you'll notice I report per EDU, because just saying we put in 50 meters, that could mean 200 EDUs. So service units matter. We'll be presenting 4 new development service contracts for BOD approval consideration later in this meeting. And to capital improvements. Later in this meeting, you'll be getting a proposal to approve the Abbott Road Waterline Project for award and the Zip Road Waterline Project for award. A little bit of a change to the City of New Braunfels Zip Family Sports Park Reclaimed Waterline Project. I put there expected for a September BOD approval. That's gotten bumped up to August. It's advertising now in the Seguin Gazette. And we'll be doing a bid opening, I think, in August 14th or something like that. I got the schedule here. That bid opening is scheduled for, August 14th. So we should have that packet ready for you next month for the reclaimed water pipeline portion. So that project is actually 2 projects. This is the pipeline portion. Then there's the booster pump station portion, which takes the water, the raw water from GBRA, treats it at the plant, and then pumps it up that pipeline. This pipeline is going to have this interim connection about 300 feet to potable water that's going to be used to supply the sports park potable water on an interim condition until the booster pump station and treatment facility is in operation. So we're supplying potable water for irrigation to the Zip Sports Park on an interim condition, so that way they can get the fields established. And we've got numbers representing all that. And are there any questions regarding that?
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I don't know anything about providing
The City of New Braunfels,
potable water for reclaim.
the potable water being used for reclaim on an interim condition. So obviously they could just pull a construction meter and pull potable water through the construction meter for the on-site construction and establishing of the fields like any other construction site would do. But since they're going to have infrastructure in place for the irrigation of the fields near, since we're building this infrastructure and plumbed into it'll be plumbed into their irrigation system already. It will enable them just to turn on the valve with the potable water instead of coming off a fire hydrant construction meter above ground to supply that irrigation water. However, they are going to be using a fire hydrant construction meter until this pipeline is built to irrigate those fields. It's simply swapping where that water is coming from, so it's not above ground and it will be underground, if that makes any sense.
We might need to look at that and look at the stage 4 restrictions that GBRA sent out. I don't know that.
Absolutely, and stage 4 ceases all irrigation. So, yeah, that's a kind of a,
Probably not a great time to start a.
that's a
establishing a
good
field.
point, Mr. Sherman. However, that's almost like a separate issue as far as the irrigating goes. They got to put their infrastructure in place regardless for irrigating. As far as when it's available, that could change based on the
And I
stage.
just don't want to dig into the details, just y'all look into all that. And then we did list the oversizing as an additive alternate on this project. Is that correct?
We elected not to oversize on this project. We're running an 8-inch main to it. It's dedicated for the sports park.
I just have one follow-on question, and it's perhaps this is more aimed at the person you're bringing on next month. How's our reserves of residential meters? Because I know they're hard to get and there's a long lead time.
So we are well stocked for residential meters. We probably have, Phil, you probably could speak to the exact number, but I think we have 1,000 meters in surplus right now because we go through 1,000 a year. So
Right.
we're with the new Mr. Duff in place next week. We're going to set a stock level that's appropriate for our average annual meter set level. So that way we're not overstocking as well.
Right.
So we got to consider the lead time. From what I understand, lead time on 5/8" meters right now is 9 months to a year.
I
And so we
concur
got to
with that.
almost have 9 months to a year of stock level.
Great.
But maybe not that much, maybe curtailed a little back. So we're going to really hone into that number because that cost of stocking that many meters is significant.
And so I don't have the exact figure here, but it's a lot. It is,
Oh, yeah.
it is about 1,000 that we have back there in the warehouse right now. And looking at the budget for 25, which we'll discuss finance committee and stuff next month, we've got a large purchased in next year's budget of meters. And Gabe is exactly right. We got to figure out what the rate is for inventory on hand. Right now, we don't have that rate. We're going to establish that going forward because in the 25 budget request, I think we're actually buying too many meters. So I've got to do some analysis and get that dialed in, but it's a good question.
And that comment right there, that's what staff is doing an excellent job of, as figuring out the best way forward. Correct. Just having a better thought process about everything we're doing. So I appreciate staff.
And then, so the 5/8 inch size meter is not necessarily a challenge right now. The real challenge is the bigger meters, the 2-inch through 12-inch size meters that we're getting an influx of, not to the point of one per month, but maybe one of these like 4-inch through 8-inch size meters, maybe one every 2 months. So those are expensive, and those are 9-month lead times alone in themselves. So we're doing the best we can at looking ahead. As soon as we execute one of these service agreements that has a larger meter, we have to coordinate with the meter department to make sure that meter gets ordered, because it's probably at that point already 6 to 9 months out from being needed as soon as that agreement's executed.
Those are all probably commercial usage. if
That's
they're that
right.
large.
And we want those meters in place. We don't want to delay
Yeah.
a commercial opening
Yeah, because
because the meter's on back
to us.
order.
For Hydro Homestead, please. Thank you.
So just the overall in general, or the ground or
Just
elevated?
the issues that we're having as far as getting those things live and active.
Really,
Are we
there
making
hasn't been-
progress?
Yeah, there
No.
hasn't been any movement on it. Again, we're kind of in the whole pattern and playing the waiting game until we get the MCC in. So.
Okay. Alrighty, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any comments for engineers, development manager? Nothing? All right, thank you. Moving on to item H, recommendation for award of the Zip Road extension bid. Mr. Montgomery.
On July 17th, we opened bids for the Zip Road water line extension. This is a small extension to provide fire flow to River City Heavy Haul on Zip Road. And Jim Parks is here with River City Heavy Haul. He's the gentleman that entered the agreement with to do this extension. We opened bids. We had 7 bidders respond. The low bidder is Sovrex. They're a company out of Houston. We don't have experience with them. I had a conversation with Gabe about that and went through their bid form in detail. They provided all the documents needed and everything that we needed that was required in the bid documents. We don't have any reservations with awarding to them. They have some recent experience. They have several contracts under contract right now that they're working on. Their bid was $90,879 even, and that's for Sovrex. The request or the recommendation would be to award to Sovrex contingent upon Mr. Jim Parks and River City Heavy Haul. His agreement says that he's funding this project completely. He's already funded design and survey and all those items. But the contract says within 30 days of award, he would escrow those funds with the district to construct the project. So that's the request, is for a contingent award for him to make his decision if he's in on the project or if it is not awarded.
So I have some concerns. That's a big delta between the lowest bidder and the next 2 bidders.
It is.
Are we sure that all scopes were accounted for and their experience is accordingly to our standards and
Yeah,
vetted?
so they did ask some bid questions during bidding, and they provided the bid bond and all the securities that are required under the bid documents, and they certified the bid. So
Wow. Okay,
And did we require references and did you check them?
Yes, yeah, there was 3 references in there. I talked to 2 of them. The third one never called back, but they had no issues.
Did the engineer have an estimate on this one? I didn't see it listed on the.
There was an estimate in the feasibility study, which is over a year old at this point. Our number was, I believe it was 68,000, but that was a year ago also.
Who would handle overages?
Say that again.
If it goes over the quoted amount, who handles that?
So this is completely developer funded. So if there are any change orders that come up, negative or positive, they would be they would be required by the developer.
I would like to add logistically, this is a very simple project. It's an 8-inch water main extension going down a block down the road for a single fire hydrant. It's very simple.
Yeah.
And I would just like to add that for consideration.
Appreciate that. Again, just because the delta is so much
Right.
of a difference, that's where it causes me to concern when I see that big of a swing. Okay, well, if that's your recommendation for Sovrex.
I believe that's how you say it.
All right, yeah, I'll let someone.
I'd like
that
to make a
one.
motion that we approve the awarding of the Zip Road extension bid to Sovrex in the amount of $90,879.
Second.
Contingent on developer agreement. Contingent on the developer agreeing for the funding mechanism is, how do I say that correctly, Gary?
Delivering funds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Contingent on the developer delivering funds.
And I'll second.
All right, have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay. Thank you for that one. Moving on to item I, recommendation for award Abbott Road extension bid.
This project has been on the books for a while. We had design done over a year ago. It was on hold because of the developer. This is a developer-driven project in the Clearwater, Lily Trails, Thea Springs area of the system on Abbott Road from 1518 to 2538. The developer gave us the go-ahead to bid the project, so we did that. We opened bids on July 11th, had 15 bidders. There's a lot of interest on larger projects or relatively larger waterline projects. 15 qualified bids were opened that followed the standard advertisement process with the Seguin Gazette, placing it on your website, putting it on Civcast. The low bid is RL Jones at $1,863,000, $32.80. We have a lot of experience with RL Jones. They've done a lot of projects with the district. They're finishing up 2 projects right now, the FM 78 water line and then the Alt Highway 90 project. Those are both coming to an end. They'll be closed out within the next 2 to 3 weeks. But talk to staff, no reservations, no problems with those other projects. So our recommendation is to award to RL Jones at $1,863,000, $32.80. We did, this project is funded through there's 3 different agreements. This project falls under the Clearwater agreement with that developer, which is ultimately going to be Lennar. They're going to be the home builder that's taking over that development. We have email acknowledgement that they are going to deliver funds in the bids. I sent them bid tabs and they were actually in the pre-bid meeting and have been involved in the process, but we have an acknowledgement from Lennar that they're going to deliver funds. So it still asks that it's contingent on those funds being received, but we do have acknowledgement that they're ready to go.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the awarding of the Abbott Road extension bid to RL Jones in the amount of $1,863,032.80 contingent upon funding from developer.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay. Ayes have it. All right, so at this time, we're gonna take a 5-minute and we'll come back. Time is 9:59. Your non-standard water and wastewater service agreements and take action as necessary. So J1 is the Flying Bar D. We're gonna hold off on that one right now for executive session. We got some things we need to talk about on that one. We're going to jump to J2, Stoper Stupler Tract Water, NSSA, Meritage Homes, 3820 Marion Road, Marion, Texas, 78124.
Yeah, so something new we've provided onto these feasibility studies at Mr. Gage's request, and it's worked out pretty well, so I don't have to look at my scribbly notes now. Is the summary letter in front of each contract, each NSSA. So I think this will help kind of draw the picture of what is in the 40-page document that follows. And this is an 8,100 linear feet, 12-inch water main, off-site extension, which is probably the important part to note of it all. Obviously, all the on-sites by the developer. The off-site water line extension here coincides with CIP project number 29 identified in the master plan. And so that this development kind of kickstarts that project to be done by them and funded by them. It's a 278, actually a 290 EDUs of water. We have adequate water availability, pressure storage is not an issue, fire demand will be provided through that offsite work. Costs all developer driven. We don't anticipate anything, and we do recommend approval. We don't anticipate any costs of Green Valley.
And it meets all of our recommendation standards and everything, right? So everything is good on that, no
Yes, sir.
issues. Okay, does anybody have any other questions?
The 1,000 gallons per minute at 25, that's the county's requirement?
Yes, based off of the current code that I think they're under 2018 IFC. I'm not sure, but every fire department or jurisdiction
Each
adopts a different
jurisdiction
fire
has
code,
different, but as
so
long
they're
as-
all a little different.
As long as the plan is meeting
Yes, sir.
the department with jurisdiction.
Okay,
I'd like to make a motion to approve the non-standard water agreement with the Stupler Tract to Meritage Homes, 3820 Marion Road, Marion, Texas.
Second.
have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Stopler Track, so we're going to J3. Stopler Track wastewater, NNSA, Meritage Homes, 3820 Marion Road, Marion, Texas, 78124.
So same tract as the water one you just approved, but this is the wastewater side of it. Instead of 290 EDUs, I believe it is. I'm looking for that number on here. I guess we missed it. The reason why the other one was 290 and this one's going to be less, I think this one's 278. Yeah, confirmed by Gary, it's 278 sewer EDUs. That delta from 278 to 290 is irrigation meters, which don't need service, or sewer service, I should say. So with the wastewater, they're going to have to parallel basically to the water main extension, extend sewer to the same approximate area, which is just west of this development on Wild Road to the Ann Austin subdivision where our sewer main trunk line runs through currently. So basically they got to tag onto that the Santa Clara outfall line there. And so that's about 7,174 linear feet, a combination of force main until they can go gravity to Ann Austin. So it won't be all force main. At some point, it's going to break down to where it can flow by gravity. They will be building an on-site lift station for that force main that will be located in the development for the off-site main to pump to Ann Austin. And we don't foresee any Green Valley costs. We have outlined all of the tentative kayak fees, costs, and all the off-site costs are going to be the responsibility of the developer. Any questions? We do recommend approval.
Is this the standard kayak amount for this development?
That is the current kayak amount and policy. So it's important we say what we added in quotations there. It says estimated costs, fees are subject to change per current GVSUD operating policy / rate order. So all kayak fees and water acquisition fees and water impact fees are always subject to change on every contract to the developer based on what the current policy is. And we assess those fees at plan submittal.
Okay, does anybody else have any other questions or comments?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the wastewater agreement for the Stopler Tract Meritage Homes, 3820 Marion Road, Marion.
Okay, I have a
Second.
motion and a second by Mr. Robertson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. Okay, good. All right, moving to item J4, Vista Ridge Subdivision Water, NNSA, DMK, Land Development LLC, 2811 FM 775, Seguin, Texas 78155.
Yeah, so DMK is a local developer that we're very familiar with. It'll look a lot like what's across the street here at the Woods of St. Clair, I believe. And so, they want to do a 20 lot. Usually these are these one street rural developments, and 20 lots over off of 775. We currently have adequately sized water main that runs across the street from the development. So they're just going to tag on that water main, tap onto it, and extend it down their street for all 20 units. Everything seems to check out. Everything will be at the cost of the developer. And Green Valley doesn't foresee any costs on our side at this time. If there are no further questions, Green Valley does recommend approval.
These are very big lots, 3-acre lots apiece. That is the true end development size per home, 3 acres.
Yes, sir, that is accurate.
Thank you.
Well, they have to be, what is it, I think 2 acres, or is it 1 acre in Guadalupe County with no sewer service?
1 acre for OSSF facilities, which is on-site septic.
I'd like to recommend approval of the water agreement for Vista Ridge subdivision, DMK Land Development, 2811 FM 775, Seguin, Texas.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, thank you very much for that. Moving to item K, consider the updated investment policy and take action as necessary. Gina Button. Or, sorry, Phil Gage. One of y'all,
Here,
y'all figure out.
Yeah,
We got
Gene's
one
here.
in
I'll
front of it.
speak to it since I got the mic at my seat here.
All right.
So as what you saw in the investment committee meeting earlier, so what we did was reviewed the draft, a draft of a new investment policy that Gina and team has taken a look at. I mean, the real thrust of this policy is to comply with the Texas Government Code, Chapter 2256, the Public Funds Investment Act as amended, also known as PFIA. So what this policy actually does is idle money that we have sitting around in our accounts, so we make sure that we invest that to get the betterment of the interest rates. And you can see that as noted by our balance sheets earlier. So what this does, this policy just updates and amends our previous investment policy to make us up to standard, if you will, with the applicable codes. And the staff, pursuant to guidance from the investment committee, recommends approval of this new policy.
Mr.
All
King, you
right.
like it?
I like it.
You're good with it? Everybody good? Anybody have any other comments, questions on it?
I'd like to recommend that we approve the updated investment policy
Second.
as listed in the board packet.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion by Mr. Cooper.
Second.
Sorry, second by Mr. King. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
I'd like to say thanks to Gina for putting that together. Appreciate it.
thank you.
Do we have an
Yeah.
effective date that we want to make this? Because it does have
would-
to
it
be
would be a-
dated today.
Today's date.
It'll be today's date.
Yeah.
We'll amend it and get signatures.
Oh, we'll just have it printed out. We can just write it in.
Well put
from what it
together,
showed.
more than boilerplate.
Yeah, no, it's great. I appreciate it being done. Thank y'all so much. I know this is one of the things that the auditor made mention when we did it. So this is now something that we can be proud of and take that issue off of the next year's audit. So thank y'all for getting that done. Moving to item L, consider the updated employee handbook and take action as necessary. Mr. Gage.
Okay, this one, I'm going to try to contain my excitement for this one because this is an effort that's been ongoing for a little while, even before my tenure. And I think I think the board had some good wisdom and going ahead and hiring the attorney Natalie Rouge to draft the employee handbook for us. It was money well spent. As you know, our employee handbook is relatively outdated of several years. I know all the board members have had this for about a week or so to look over it. I can answer any of your questions that you have. But what this does overall, it brings us up to date with all the rep policies and regulations that we need to comply with labor law and Texas code. So all of that is in there. There are some, the key point that I think I would like to highlight most is we've simplified our policies in terms of paid time off, personal time and vacation time. We've made it really, really easy, easier to keep track of, easier to be accountable of. And we need that to integrate. We need this policy in order to onboard and integrate with the SWBC PEO that we're heading towards. So we've got it before the board today to get your approval on that. Drug testing is also in here now, fully compliant with randomized drug testing. It's part of the policy now. That's something else I want to highlight. And then there's several other discipline-related things that are all in there in compliance with updated codes. The great thing about having SWBC as our professional employment organization going forward is that every time a new notice or something comes out, something changes in the labor law, and that happens frequently, we'll get automatically updated from them for posters, workplace safety, and those things that you have to post to be in compliance. So this is going to be a great relationship for Green Valley. I'm looking forward to it. We just need the board to approve and adopt this policy. We'll get it into place, and we'll go live, like I said, with our first pay period beginning 28 August this year. So
Mr.
with
President,
that,
I have a question. Is it appropriate now?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
What will be the plan to get this information to employees and make sure they understand it and that
Sure.
they have to comply with it?
Sure. So actually, I'm glad you asked that question. So I've already started. So last week, I believe it was last week, I sent out a memorandum to the entire team at Green Valley, kind of laying out what we were doing and why the board selected to go with the outsourced HR company, while we're doing it, and kind of the timeline. So I laid that out to them. That was step one. Step two, this week after you approve this, let me back up. Step two was collecting all the employees' personal email addresses, and then SWBC reaching out to them on their personal email addresses to onboard them into the system. So that's ongoing now. Those names are being turned in, and then next week we begin the benefits enrollment. And then we'll have 2 training sessions in August at a minimum. And then we start live on it on the 28th. So by approving this today, our training sessions in August, which I'm looking at Gina, I don't think we've got the benefits dates identified. I don't think we have the training sessions yet. Say again? Yeah, so it's really next week for enrollment for the benefits. But the training sessions, we still have to pin that down when we're going to do those. But that'll be in the month of August.
Thank you.
And that's how it's going to go down. Yes, sir.
I just really like to compliment, I'm sorry, did I jump? Okay. What they put together, what the staff has put together regarding definition of time off.
Yep.
That was a very loosely, and I emphasize loosely defined. I think it was, a lot of that time off stuff was almost seat of the pants previously.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
It should be very, very clear now.
Very clear.
Very clear. That's what
Love
we
it.
went for.
I heard you mention Natalie Rouge's name as being the developer of this project.
Yes, sir.
She's the author,
Yes, sir.
and it was vetted by our HR attorney. It met all the requirements they had.
Yes, it was. So we've got the base document from her. The staff, we sat down and we put in the particular policies that we wanted to put in. And then it went to SWBC. SWBC's attorneys, they looked at it to make sure we're in compliance. And then we got the draft back for your all's review and approval. So it's been through 2 different attorneys, if you will. And they blessed off on it from the PEO, which is probably the one that I put the most weight on at this point, since they're the one helping us execute. So yes, sir, that's how it was reviewed.
Awesome, thank you. The only other suggestion I might make is this is going to be a constantly evolving document, and set up some kind of regular review period with with HR attorneys or whoever's necessary to make sure that we keep this document updated and correct with current laws and standards. Just a suggestion.
Yes, sir. I mean, that's a great suggestion, and we absolutely will do that.
I just have one question. I know it doesn't have to do with the handbook. Well, I mean, it has like hours of work. You guys are now going to change the pay, I mean, the pay schedule, right? The days, it used to be like Wednesday to Tuesday or something. So now you're changing it to Monday to Friday? So that's not listed. So that's not listed anywhere in any of this documentation.
Yeah. No, we'll do it. It's not in the policy. I don't think it's in there.
It's not in the policy and I haven't really seen anything like, I know you guys are setting up payroll, but
That's right. So, but we'll do it in the training session. Yeah, I don't think it needs to be specifically laid out in the policy, but yes, instead of having the odd work week that we had, it'll be exactly what Gina just said, Monday through Sunday.
what about hours of
And
operation?
then, so hours of operation are going to stay just as they are right now until we get the policy implemented. And then that's something else that I'm looking at in terms of efficiency. But I didn't want to bite off too big of an apple at once. So I do the policy first, get everyone trained up, and then I'll make those adjustments as we find efficiency. That's kind of the plan going forward.
And also for the record that all the employees are going to sign off on this handbook and it's going to be in their employment
Yes, sir.
file.
Yes, sir, absolutely. Everyone will be acknowledged in their personnel file for the new handbook.
Okay.
I also noticed going through this, you've taken on this, Gina, now. You are now the point of contact on all of this? So you're now the interim HR person?
Representative.
So what we're doing is, so Gina's a financial controller, right? But for the purpose of HR, she's our on-site point of contact. So as you read the policy, several places it says, if you have an issue, you see this person or that person. Well, the on-site person will be Gina, but Gina will be fully supported by the full team of SWBC. So that gives folks the ability, if they want to talk to a living, breathing person, then they can see Gina because she's living and breathing. And then, so is the SWPC people, but they're just on the phone. Or they could call SWPC on the phone as well. That's why she's listed as that. So you'll notice in there, her title is financial controller, but in the policy, we say financial controller /HR. That /HR part is just really the on-site touch point for our employees.
We'll buy you a flak jacket.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the new employee handbook as presented.
I have a motion by
Second.
Mr. King, a second by Ms. McDaniel. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Okay, the ayes have it. So at this time, we're going to item M, hear updates on the items below from GVC General Counsel and take action necessary.
And Mr. Frias,
Yep.
I would like to take.
Well, hold on. We're see if Shan has anything before we go to executive, so.
Yeah, not a problem. Good morning, board. On pending or threatened litigation, I just have one update that I will take into executive session. In addition, we have an issue related to ARWA on which the board has sought legal counsel and advice, and we're going to take that into executive session as well. And moving to the other issues, I'm assuming that that's up to you, Mr. President, but we have personnel Alpha and Bravo also listed.
Yeah, we'll take you in there as well. Sorry. So at this time, we're going to take item J, 1, Flying Bar D, LLC, Water NSA. And we are going to go into executive session for N, O, and P as well. Under Texas Government Code Section 551.071 through 551.074. Under attorney-client privilege. Thank you. 10:26, sorry. Time is 12:06. We're coming back into open session from the items that we took into executive session. I believe no action is needed at this time. We're going to go to item R, consideration for proposed items to be included on next month's board meeting agenda. Does anybody have anything? If you do come up with anything, just get with Gage and we'll get it on there. All right, item S, adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Time is 12:07. That is,
Like to note
ends
this
this
is the
meeting.
record.